I put so much of my self-worth into poker and how good I thought I was and how hard I studied and my work ethic. But I realized after having screaming matches with Matt, what matters is
Aceholes with Nikki and Caitlin.
Hello, welcome back to Aceholes podcast. I am one of your Aceholes, Nikki Limo.
And I'm your other acehole, Caitlin Komeski.
And together we are super Aceholes.
Aceholes.
Just kidding, we're not that. Don't call us that, please.
Is that a new bit?
No, it's nothing. Don't look at me.
Don't look at it. Don't hear it. Selective hearing.
Before we get started, and you find out who our guest is today, I just want to give a big shout out to our sponsor, Poker Night in America at Studio 52, whom we have had a residency with since the start of the summer, and we will be here throughout the summer during the WSOP series. And with that being said, we have pulled, nay yanked, nay kidnapped a poker player from the WSOP today because he has bagged day 2 of the Millionaire Maker. Won't give too much away, but Mr. Senor Landon Tice.
Am I supposed to clap for myself or no?
Yeah.
No.
No.
Mixed signals.
Why didn't you do it?
Now you know how it feels to be a straight woman. Enjoy.
Yeah. And we are going to interrogate you now.
Okay.
Hi, how's your day?
I'm doing great.
How's the series going so far? You made it deep in a couple little events there.
Yeah, top 8, 25K heads up. Not too bad. Got
Did
11.
that pay you monies?
It paid.
Because in those high rollers, don't you have to make like quite a few rounds?
Yeah, so you have to win 3 rounds before you got money.
Nice.
Otherwise, you just got an experience and a story. I got money and a story.
You got money and a story.
Yeah.
Who all did you beat to get to that point?
Dan Smith, round 1.
Nice.
Stephen Chidwick, round 2.
Oof.
Chance
Wow.
Corneth, round 3.
You beat Chance?
I did.
All right.
They let me win.
Well, you're both on my WSOP fantasy team, so I feel like I was funding both sides of the war there, and I win.
The longer the WSOP goes, the more I realize how hard I fumbled assembling my team. I have like no mixed game players. I have no high rollers and like 7 women, which I love, but none of them are playing high rollers.
And the one event they're
Not
all
yet.
playing, they're going to be competing against each other.
Son of a bitch. But Poker Face Ash made final 2 tables,
Yeah.
and she's a content creator, so I should get double points for her. And
Yeah.
then Chrissy B is in the high roller. She's on my team.
Yeah.
She's made a couple.
No,
wins.
you're crushing.
I counted as content creator for you, didn't I?
Yeah.
So you get double points when I win?
Yes.
Wow.
I get double points on everything you do. Every time you cash, every time you make top 20%, every time you make, or was it top 2%? Top 2%, anytime you make
Online or
a
live,
final
doesn't
table. No, only WSOP live bracelet events.
Okay, so you have a little bit of points from me because of the
Yeah.
25K.
I got a little bit of points, but if you could get me more points, that would be really cool of you.
Greed is a powerful drug.
Otherwise, I'll just have to have one of my other crushers do it.
One of your Necronus.
Yeah, Chance, like I mentioned. I have Alex Foxen. I have Mr. Phil Hellmuth. I have...
What you're telling me is you got options.
I got a lot of options out there if you can't handle the job, you know. You think you're going to win a bracelet this year? Think this year's the year?
I don't know. It might be. It might not be.
I mean, you've been on the earth for like 24 years already. That's a long time.
I know. Yeah, I think about that a lot, you know.
So far, no bracelets.
People say life's short. It feels like I've lived a pretty long life at 24.
Yeah. How's it feel to be 24? I literally can't remember.
It was like
I think I blocked it out.
3 years ago.
Oh, are you 25? No, you're 25. No, you're 24.
I just turned 24.
Yeah.
April 12th, 1999. For all of those that want Landon Tice trivia.
Wow.
If you drop
We
the
were gonna
birth
play
time, the
Landon
girlies can get your full birth chart and really decide if you're their one.
6:08 p.m.
Is that facts?
Yeah.
Wow. How did you know that so fast?
My mom told me that.
Okay.
But she's not into
Did
the
you date an astrology girly earlier this year who asked for it?
Dating? No.
Ooh, let's
we hit a
unpack
nerve.
that.
We hit a
Let's unpack yourself. Unpack yourself.
We hit a nerve.
Oh no, is this chronic
Yeah.
insecurity? No, it's not. I'm doing okay.
Now we're going to unpack every single time you've ever talked to a girl. Go.
Nikki got makeup on my shirt once.
That's true. I apologize.
Nikki and Caitlin called Todd Zaddy Todd.
His name name is Tom.
Tom Wheaton.
But we call him Zaddy
we still
Todd.
called him Zaddy Todd.
I got kidnapped to come on this podcast.
That's another. Those are the only
Name
two
a
girls?
woman that's not us.
Yeah.
Can you do That's the first game of
One
the pod. Name a woman.
Can't name a woman. For the love of God, name a woman. Have you seen that? Have you seen that clip?
Yes.
Oh
Yes.
my God, it's so good. But yeah, time and few and far between.
No, I wanted to ask though because you have gone through a bit of a glow up
Little
lately.
bit.
Yeah. Oh, that was a bad word.
Is it?
A lot of bit.
A lot of it.
You seemed like it was just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
okay.
No, it was a lot of bit.
A lot of bit.
It was a lot of bit. Yeah,
Yeah.
2020 pre-Vegas. It's like the pre-Vegas, post-Vegas.
Yeah.
Kind of time skip,
Yeah. So how can you talk? Can you expand upon that journey of why you decided like, hey, I want to try something new, and how that's been going for you?
Try something new and like love myself.
Yeah. One of those things that people do.
Yeah, I mean, healthy people at least, like the secure ones sometimes. Yeah, I mean, for me, like the whole weight loss stuff, like it came from a bad place originally of like I didn't like things about myself that I wanted to fix. But then like just because things start from like a bad place or like not a pure one doesn't mean they can't change to pure ones.
Oh yeah, that's
where
true.
now for me, I'm just like I want to be the best version of myself for me specifically. And I know that this version of myself is leading towards that.
So like it's like you got introduced to it in an unhealthy way, but you found the healthy side of that spectrum.
Yeah, I came out the other side of the abyss,
Because that's like what it takes to get the longevity. Like an aesthetic goal is one thing, but to like make lasting lifestyle changes, you really have to find the bigger why, the bigger motivation.
Yeah, like for me now, like the game of like exercise isn't just like how do I get to look the way I want to, but how do I get to be working out for the rest of my life?
How fast can
Yeah.
I finish this worksheet that Daddy gave me? I love when I see your little worksheets. I'm like, okay, what is it?
Yeah, that's kind of why I do it. It's like a little bit of an accountability thing, as well as people ask me like, oh, how did you go from this to this? It's like, well,
Yeah.
like I'll just kind of show you how I do that every day.
Go walk us through it. What's like your routine these days?
These days for the summer, I wake up pretty early. I wake up at around 6:30 to 7 a.m.
Wow,
Do you have to set an alarm
really?
for that, or are you
I
internal
do.
clock ready now?
I
Okay.
set alarms, but I'm pretty sure there's something that goes on in my brain when I know I set the alarm. I wake up before it.
Oh
Love
yeah,
it.
yeah.
I love
You know
when
what I
that.
mean?
Yeah.
I've never been that way, but maybe 3 nights in my life I had something like that.
I get
and
that,
it
but
feels
it's
amazing.
anxiety sleep only. It's like
Oh,
I
is that
wait-
what that is?
Yeah,
Oh,
I like
okay.
yeah. Wake up like, I'm supposed to be somewhere. Where am I supposed to be? I'm late.
That happens to me when it's for something that I don't enjoy or something that's scheduled.
Yeah,
Right? If it's like,
something
okay, you have an appointment at 8. It's like,
Yes.
oh no, if I go to sleep at 12, am I going to make it?
Yeah,
If I'm gonna
yeah.
then I won't, then it's bad.
Okay.
But this is like, I know I try to go to the gym in the morning because the day is for WSOP
Yeah.
and all that stuff. And there's windows of time for the gym that I go to.
Okay, not to interrupt because I want to keep continuing, but
Interrupt.
I'm
Please
going to interrupt.
Interrupt me every time you need to.
How do you get quality sleep when sometimes events go well into the wee morning hours?
Wee hours of the night.
Yes.
Honestly, Matt gets really mad at me because from Whoop stats, like my HRV is pretty high.
What's that?
I have
Heart
no
rate.
Heart rate variability.
Okay.
So Matt's HRV, when he looks at his little recovery thing, it's like 26, which is like down pretty bad.
I can see that as something you guys compete as.
He
on-
makes it a competition. I just kind of live my life. you know?
Yeah.
He needs something to look. He needs a goal to chase.
What a loser
Yeah,
competition,
fucking
bro.
Nerd.
No.
But yeah, I mean, so I don't know how. I love sleeping. I
Yeah.
really do. But
Yeah.
sometimes when I know that I need to wake up early to do something or even set an alarm, I'm really fortunate to get like 5 hours of sleep and feel fine.
Okay.
And I'm sure there's probably would I like to sleep more? Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
of course. At the same time, I would also like to still exercise,
Right.
So it's like the
It's
priority thing.
list.
Yeah. And sometimes like I go to the gym, at least with the trainer, 4 times a week.
Yeah.
I go to a facility. So it's Monday through Saturday. So sometimes I'm like, oh, I know I need to sleep more. I'm gonna like wake up and then sleep in.
I also feel like when you're in your young 20s that like you can pretty much do anything.
A
Like you could
lifetime
sleep on the
ago for
floor
you, yeah.
with like a gallon of alcohol in you and still wake up and be like, all right, time to work out.
Couple
How is-
things there. One, no alcohol for me,
Yeah.
but I know what you mean. 2, I genuinely choose to sleep on floors over like couches sometimes.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that because of a back issue? Or?
I don't think it's a back issue. If like I can't fit on the couch, I would rather just sleep on like the carpet rug floor.
Oh, I see.
But you're not choosing the floor over beds.
I would not choose the floor over a bed. No.
So the ranking
No.
goes couch, floor, bed.
Yeah.
Okay.
If it's like a small couch where I can't like fit.
What if it's okay? Not like a pull-out couch, like
Correct.
Would you fit on this couch?
It would be possible, and I would probably like it because it's
kind of
suitable.
cushy
Okay.
enough.
Yeah.
All right, so continue on with your morning. You wake up at 6 or 7.
Yep, 6 or 7. I put like overnight oats
We've
into
only
a
made it
protein shake.
7. He woke
Yeah.
up at 6:30. It's been like
oh,
3 minutes.
Yeah, so like I'll have my meal prep. Like I'll just put a protein shake with oats overnight and put it in the fridge.
Okay.
So I'll eat that, and that's my breakfast, and then I'll walk to the gym.
Okay, now I'm gonna know the nighttime routine too. All right.
just
So
gotta-
you walk
yeah.
to the gym.
So I walk to the gym. I do my little sheet. You know, after after I finish all the stuff on the sheet, I post it because I don't want to post it before doing it. You know,
Yeah.
disingenuous.
And you post it because of accountability.
I post it because of accountability. I post it because people.
and you want to flex on people.
People. A little bit,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
not particularly.
You're like, I did my shit.
Honestly, I like that I've gotten messages from people where they're like, "Oh, like I wouldn't have gone to the gym today, but I saw that you did, and it kept me
Yeah,
accountable."
yeah.
Like that feels good to
Yeah.
me. Like the big sort of overarching goal of like what I want to do in this physical form is like create positive change.
Yeah, inspire the peasants. I'm just kidding.
I'm a peasant.
The lesser
I'm
being.
kidding.
I am the
Yeah,
I
yeah.
am the lesser
Whatever you
one.
want to call them.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
No, I'm a
Plebs.
fan of people posting their daily workouts and
Yeah.
their gym photos and stuff. Like
Yeah.
whenever I go to spin class, I like to do a little video, and people are like, "Yeah, I get it. I'm gonna go to the." I get the same type
Yeah.
of messages, or like, "Oh wow, I really see like you've been hitting it hard this week. Like I'm gonna do it too." I
Yeah.
think it's good for the ether. I don't.
I'm a fan
see it
of
as
people,
a vanity thing.
No, I was just fucking around. But
You're a bad person.
yeah.
Don't embarrass my
How
friend.
dare
No.
you? The
I
more you
love
fuck
how-
around, the more you find out, Nikki.
I love how you guys like just started following me. I had a whole like 5 years where I posted Gaines Instagram stories. Where that
Really?
was like my thing. Yeah, like where I used to run
Man,
and
you
like
missed the
post
window.
hashtag Gaines every day.
But
like,
yeah, but how happy were you?
I was. I don't know if I've ever been fully happy.
Okay, good. So you have gains.
Can
Then.
we talk about how hard it is to live? First, I know.
I don't lie. Okay.
So one thing I want to ask you about is
Wait,
like,
we're not through the
I'm sorry, are we not
routine.
through the routine?
no.
Well,
Oh God, tell us about the eggs.
okay.
Did we
so-
get to eggs yet? Is it
I just
noon?
want to know because he's gone through such a glow up, and I want
Yeah.
if you know the others who are inspired.
the fellow future glow uppers?
Yes.
Yeah. So then go to the gym, do my stuff. I walk back sometimes. Other times, Matt also goes to the gym. We go at different times because he needs more sleep.
Yeah.
He needs more beauty rest.
Well,
than
us
me.
old people need that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll walk to the gym. He'll drive there at some point. Speaking of, I need to get my license in order.
Oh, we're gonna get to that.
Okay, good. Please. So, anyways, after that, go to the podcast. Do the Only Friends podcast Monday to Friday.
Shout out to Only Friends. Go check them out. Links in the description.
You're on there sometimes.
I am on there sometimes. When am
And
I gonna be
you're
on
on
there
there
again?
When are you going to be on there again?
I don't know. Whatever you want, bro.
Whenever you want. When are you going to be on there again?
when I'm asked. It's pretty easy.
Just literally text me. So yeah, I do the podcast, and then from there, if there's something going on at the Horseshoe, I will go to the Horseshoe, and then I will shower because we do have like a break room there, which is nice. We got a room for the summer.
Oh, right. You
Yeah.
guys rented a hotel
Yeah,
room.
we just rented a hotel room for the summer.
How
which
many of y'all are
is-
splitting that little roomsies?
I think 4 of us, but like no one's really there except for me. Honestly.
Is anyone using it for the overnight?
I do for day 2s if I don't, but it's hard because of the podcast and such. But I will use it when necessary. Like let's say if I end up bagging day 2 of the Millionaire Maker, I would probably just stay at the Horseshoe.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because it's late nights, and then you just don't have to leave, don't have to deal with the traffic, don't have
Yeah.
to deal with all the nonsense.
That makes total sense.
Yeah, so that's what the room is for. And then for dinner breaks, like I'll go nap or something, you know.
Facts.
Anyway, so that's like the routine of the day is wake up, go to the gym, do the podcast, go to the Horseshoe, play poker tournaments. After that, and like if I bust a tournament, I'll go home, you know. And then if I don't, I'll probably end up staying at the Horseshoe for the day.
And then
2.
you make your little overnight oats at home.
I do. It takes 20 seconds. It's wonderful.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, you just take like steel cut oats, you put them in a cup, you put the protein shake on them. and
My
then you put 'em in
problem
the
is
fridge.
remembering to do it.
I think about that stuff, then I realize you're trying to make life easier for you tomorrow.
Yeah, you're.
Well, honey,
in it
you
for
do the
future
same
Landon.
thing, but just with like a bean burrito from Taco Bell.
That's true.
That's your meal prep.
We all
You
have our
buy
own
2,
versions of meal
and then
prep.
once for now and once for
That's
morning,
such
Nikki.
facts.
That's
She knows
called
me so
meal prep.
knows you
I
so
took care
well.
of future Nikki there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you had to look out for yourself.
Glow up
first.
queen.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So that's what you glow up is.
I actually
is,
have
bean
lost 15
burritos.
pounds since I converted to Taco Bell only meals.
Okay.
Please don't tell actual thick women that. They'll be so upset.
No, I think that they did this study on the donut diet, like you know how that was a fad, I don't know, 10 years ago.
Wait a
People were
minute,
like, I
that
lost
was
so
way
much
too
weight
much.
on the donut diet. And it's like, well, if ever you eat a mono meal, which is just eating one type of food, like that's all you eat, you can lose weight no matter what. It doesn't mean it's healthy.
Well, it's also just like I always like what has worked for me and been the most long lasting and healthiest thing, like mind and body wise, has always been intuitive eating, which is just what it sounds like. You eat when you're hungry and you stop when you're full, and you're just more mindful around food in general.
Yeah.
Works for me
And then
too.
it doesn't. They're not, like, because if there are good foods and bad foods, then why are we moralizing what we're putting into our body? That's kind of silly.
Yeah.
But if all foods are okay, like yeah, you can have a donut. Just check in and make sure you still want it, and don't just like barrel through it in like an emotional terror.
I
and
sometimes
then, like,
feel
have
like
to live with it.
the no thing like makes you want it more, like when you're
100%.
on a diet
I feel
and
like
you
that
cut out
applies
certain
to
foods.
life.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny.
Forbidden fruit.
I've had my emotional eating stage for sure. Like when I was in college, I used to bet on sports, not in a great way. And then like when I was sad, I would just like go to the vending machine and just like empty it out. I would put Sour Patch Kids in Sprite. I would drink it, and then I would eat the Sour Patch Kids imbued with
Oh
Sprite.
my gosh, that actually sounds amazing.
Yeah, this was a nightly activity.
I'm into this sad routine.
Yeah, this was a sad routine.
Sad boy routine's like my
Oh, shit.
daily life.
Yeah, this was definitely sad boy era for me. But I've always either fluctuated between being like a super skeleton or like bigger. Like
Okay.
when I was in middle school, I got big and then I lost weight. Like I was would run on the treadmill every day for 30 minutes when I got back from school. And then when I went to college, I was like 260 before going there. And then I would just play basketball in the gym every day and then eat from cafeteria food and eat like burgers with no bread. I would eat fruit. I would eat yogurt.
Yeah.
That was kind of it. And I went from 260 to like 200. And I was like, I looked like a completely different person in that 3-month span. Like I
Yeah.
just did nothing else but have 2 classes and run around. But this is now the first time in my life for call it the past 2 years where I've been very intentional about how like I eat as well as how I exercise.
And do you
know?
feel like it's made a difference to your mindset?
Man, I think being so young, I didn't really feel it very much, you know? And I don't mean that in like a weird way because people are like, oh, the mental benefits of it because it's true
Yeah.
and I'm sure it does. And like, I just don't know.
Well, you were talking to me recently over at a dinner break about the confidence
Count that
boost.
as an encounter talking to girls.
Yes, that was an
4.
encounter with a female.
Oh, but it's not Nikki or Kaylin. I
Well,
only talked to
I
you
think you
guys.
talked to Melissa.
Yeah,
Yeah,
3.
she counts. She is a female.
yeah.
Yeah. So you were talking about the confidence boost though, where it's no longer like you feeling like you are reaching for something and more just like, oh, I know what I bring to the table now.
Yeah, for sure. It's one of those things for me when it came from like the lack of self-confidence. I knew the parts of myself that I did not like. But I knew that they were fixable. At some point I realized, oh, you don't have to be this way anymore.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, like what was it one like eating the Sour Patch with Sprite? Is that like a fixable one?
It was fixable.
Or
'cause
was that like or do you mean other things?
it's things along those lines. Like I didn't like the way that I looked. I didn't like the way that like my life was going. I didn't like the routine that I had. I didn't like a lot of the basic functions of the way that I existed.
Yeah.
And once I realized what those were and how to fix them,
And that you didn't have to be that.
I didn't have to be that anymore.
Yeah.
Like I just chose not to be that anymore.
And
that
did
was a
you
big thing for
like
me.
start creating like habits maybe to switch over?
Yeah, good environment, you know?
Yeah.
I think environment's everything. When I was in Florida, I lived by myself. My mom was still with her boyfriend at the time, and I was in this house alone, you know? And I saw poker when I dropped out as an escape from reality. But I thought I was happy. And
Yeah.
like, in the moment, of course, like I felt happy where I was working on getting really good. And that's all I focused on for like 2 years is I woke up, played poker for 12 hours a day, kind of ate whatever I wanted, and then kind of just went from there. And then moving out to Vegas, you know, meeting Matt, having more of like friend industry people that had long-standing reputations in the industry. I was like, okay, like these people are probably good people if you stayed in the industry for a long enough time. So making that relationship with Matt and then kind of feeding off of each other in that way has definitely like helped me become more of the person that I want to be.
That's a good segue
You know?
because I have always wondered. I mean, not always. I just met you guys like this year.
Not always. You
but-
before you even met me, like I wonder how did
But
this even work
since meeting
out?
you guys, I've wondered about your origin stories. Like, how did that happen? How did you guys meet?
Twitter.
So just like you were posting there, like
Yeah, hit up Matt on Twitter. He'll invite you to live with him. Good luck with it.
Just right, yeah. No, so basically the first interaction that I remember that kind of like started it all was on Poker Go. There was a stream for like Rob Young's home game, and it was like Rob Young, Rick Solomon, and a bunch of JRB I think was in the game too. And I asked Matt why people weren't like attacking Rick Solomon's sleeper straddles more, because like he would sleeper straddle to 4K.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, this guy's putting money in blind. Like, why are we not just like attacking this money relentlessly?
Yeah.
And he and I got into a conversation about variance, like bankroll, and like, even though things are good, can you withstand the variance that comes with it?
Right.
You know, because who's rolled to play like, you have to have like 8 figures minimum to be able to play correctly in these spots.
yeah. People don't know how to how to really
It's a
bankroll properly.
it's a big picture thing, because even though a spot looks good, it might not be worth very much, and it could put you in a potential place of like financial ruin if you're not appropriately rolled. And from there, we had a pretty good conversation and just kind of stemmed into more conversations. I started doing work for Solve for Why for free. Like, I would just do timestamps for things. I would just want to give value back because I got so much value.
Were you
from them.
known yet, like through Ignition or anything like that?
No. So the first person I met through like Twitter in that way was Joey.
Okay. Yeah, he mentioned that.
Yeah, so Joey, I loved his podcast when I was still at Florida State. I would play 6 tables online, and on one half of my screen, on the other half, I would have like one of the episodes of the Poker Life podcast. And I thought to myself, okay, Joey's giving me so much value. How can I give him value in return? And it wasn't through like reaching out and saying, oh, hey, can I work for you? It's just, I see that there's a need for timestamps when I look down at like the comment section.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, whenever he makes a new one, I'm just going to do the timestamps for free.
Oh, you're timestamp commenter guy.
I was timestamp bro.
Okay.
I started as timestamp bro.
We love timestamp bros, like
Yeah.
us YouTubers. Like, I'm like, yeah, I didn't want to do that. Thank you.
Exactly. So that was where I thought that I could provide the most value,
Yeah.
as well as like kind of get that foot in the door type of approach.
That's
then
really cool.
Joey knew me as like timestamp bro. You know?
Yeah.
And he and I would interact on Twitter, and I was like still timestamp bro. And from there, I sent him a message. I sent him this really long essay where I was like, look, I love poker so much. I promise you I'm going to make poker work out. I'm going to put everything I have into this. And then he responded back, and then he and I had like a little back and forth, and here we are now, you know? And it was something that I never expected.
Yeah.
You know, like I think when people sometimes go into these things of, oh,
With
if
an
I do this,
expectation.
I get this. And
Very
some sort of-
transactional. Yeah.
I had a conversation today about transactional relationships in the sense of there's a difference of like, there's a spectrum of goodwill and like pure transaction, right? And I want to do as many acts closer to the goodwill side of it all than the transaction side.
Totally.
Like I didn't do timestamps because I thought Joey would recognize me.
Right.
I did them because I knew it would help him, as well as maybe form a relationship there. But it was
Right.
never an expectation of now we're going to be best.
Like
we're
not
gonna be best
expected.
friends.
Like if it never happened, it was like cool.
Exactly.
Like,
It was a free roll to me. Like if something happened, great. If not, no problem. It was just like a very easy asymmetric free roll where I didn't need the other side of the deal.
Yeah.
I just did it myself, and whatever happened happened.
I love that.
Yeah, and here we are. You know.
And here we are. You are. It's funny that like you had a problem with sports gambling, but the biggest gamble and biggest bet you ever made was on yourself.
Now, yeah. I
That
think,
was a healthy one.
Yeah, the reason I stopped, I guess, the sports betting thing.
Like you
and-
were gonna say stop betting on myself.
No,
The reason
no.
I stopped betting on myself.
No,
is 'cause-
I've kept doing that
Okay,
ever
good,
since. But the reason I stopped sports betting, and this was like a very big one to me, because everybody has their own like rock bottoms when it comes to like call it money lost or relationships lost. You know, one time I was stuck like $1,000, and I was in college, had no job, like had no real job in poker. I was still playing 10 cent, 20 cent on stake.
Okay.
I was basically just giving up. It was a goodwill stake from a friend that was playing higher, but he helped me get really good. So I wasn't really making that much money
Yeah.
at all. I'm playing 10, 20 cents with half of the profit from that.
Right.
So I was stuck $1,000, which is a ton. And I texted my brother and I said, hey, I need to pay this thing. Like, I'll pay you back at some point, which he knew that I would. But at that point, I realized I didn't want others to pay for my mistakes in that capacity.
Right.
Like, I don't want to gamble and lose and then have somebody else cover that because I was irresponsible.
Right.
And that's what cut it out for me.
Because that's not like something you studied and it was something that you were in control of. It's just a pure gamble.
Correct.
Yeah.
It was just something that I was doing out of impulse, and I didn't want others to pay for my actions.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's really responsible of you to like own that and
Yeah. And I mean, my brother-
recognize that immediately.
Yeah, I was just like, okay, I'm done with this. This isn't where I'm spending my time. I don't really know where edge comes from. I don't even know if I'm winning or not, but I don't want to be in a spot where someone else is going to have to pay for it.
It's like money I can't lose and then someone else has to pay for it.
Right, because now my brother has to be inconvenienced for me asking. It wasn't even about like the shame of like asking for help.
Yeah.
More so, now I'm putting my problems onto somebody else.
I get that.
I didn't want to do that.
That's cool of you to recognize that though.
Yeah, and things to me are always big picture. Like, what's the macro idea of why you want to stop or start something? And for this, it's like, I don't want others to pay for my actions. Okay, done.
Great.
Easy. But that's kind of the sports betting story, and that's how I ended that. But I have my brother to thank for that for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Caitlin had a question that she's always wanted to ask you.
Yeah. So my question has to do with like, so you're on a podcast 5 days a week. A lot of time, your personal life and things about you are going to get mined. The first thing that comes to mind is, and we'll cut this out if you don't like this, but it was like a recurring joke that you were a virgin for the first like few months of OnlyFriends, and then like you let people know when that status changed. But I know that like I've done certain like
girl encounter.
Yeah.
No, maybe we don't.
Hey, we'll take credit for it.
Girl encounter.
But it's just like, do you ever have any? And then like the whole putting yourself out there with like the Bill Perkins challenge, and then having to face the blowback of that.
Oh, sure.
Do you ever regret? Like, what has your relationship been like sharing some of those more like personal, vulnerable parts of yourself? And like, how do you feel about that? Have you pulled back on that? Do you still like lead chest first and like want to share that part of yourself?
Yeah. So for me personally, the way that I see things now, like then, I think one of the biggest things that changed my life for the better was the Perkins failure, if you will. So I guess we'll start with the other question first. I've never really cared about much of that other stuff because I know, like back then, it was kind of a joke insecurity in myself of like, oh, like this stuff never happened. But now, like if that stuff was still the case, I would see it as like a joke in my security in myself, where it's like I don't necessarily
like
have
you can make fun of yourself.
Of course, like if you can't make fun of yourself, like life's gonna be pretty tough. You know, like I love laughing at. I find any reason to laugh. You know, like someone told me something yesterday that like I really stuck out to me, just kind of out of nowhere, where he said like, keep smiling. You know, and he's like. And it meant a lot to me because that's genuinely how I want to live my life. So if other people like find humor in it at my expense, no problem, you know, because I'm secure in myself at this point. But with the Perkins stuff, that was such an ego shot, which I needed so badly because even when we played heads up and I spotted 9, it wasn't from a sense of ego that I think I'm beating you for more than 9. It was, I thought this was a relatively fair number. Let's gamble, right? I'm sure I can get people to back my side. You're super rich, so you're probably gonna back your own side. You're probably not gonna try. So that's what my spirit of the bet was. But from the public perception, it looks like this kid thinks he's so good, he's laying 9 and he's still going to like stomp you, right? And I get where that came from and why it looks the way it does, and that's okay. But the blowback from that when I had to quit a quarter of the way through, which I feel really bad about from a personal sense, because I obviously didn't want to quit, you know, but from an investment standpoint, if I don't have enough like action in it, it's not my call. It just doesn't become my call anymore. And I kind of bit something off that I couldn't really chew, and I have to be the one to take accountability for that. It's easy to say like, oh, like my coaches did this, or they thought I wasn't winning anymore. But at the same time, like if I did more work, if I prepped hard enough, if I studied more, probably don't quit. So somewhere like it needs to fall on you. And like I'm a big believer in like no matter how small the action, things can always kind of come back to you in the sense of choice, right? Like I chose to start using Twitter fingers and tweeted him to play 9, right? I chose to spend time doing this, that, the other instead of studying or playing more. So that falls on me. So having all of the blowback from social media and from Twitter, people saying things along the lines of, you suck, you should quit, like industry plant. I didn't know that big of an industry to have an industry plant.
I love that one, conspiracy theory.
Yeah, so it's like I'm an
in
industry
the poker
plant.
industry plants.
That's me.
That's funny.
Yes. So it's fun. When that stuff happened.
How
it
is
was,
the Illuminati though? I've always wanted to know.
Man, they really ask for a lot these days.
Yeah,
you
they
know?
do.
They ask me to come
Do
on
we
this
have to cover
podcast
our
and
eyes?
I had to get kidnapped by you guys, but I'll talk to them about
Okay,
it.
it's
But yeah, so after that stuff ended, like when I ended it, bracelet events were going on in Tahoe, and Matt literally said to me, "Don't look at Twitter for 2 weeks. Like, stay out of it." Because back then in my life, the biggest thing to me was poker, right? Skill, I found my validation, I found my sense of security in poker. So it's so easy to have this offsetting mentality when people keep telling you you're not good enough, you took on something you couldn't beat, and you're not worthy of the opportunities that you've had. And I internalized things a lot, and like that stuck with me because I knew, even though some of it was from like ill malice, some of it was true.
Do you think at the end of the day it was a net positive for your career? Didn't your Twitter following like grow exponentially from the challenge, and like now you're a household name and maybe you weren't before this? So was it like kind of an industry plant household name?
Yeah, there's probably plants in here somewhere, right? I see plant pictures. There's a
plenty of
cloud.
plants.
No, there's a plant there. No, but I think from that side of things, I definitely gained value, I guess, from like the marketing standpoint, and from like a sense of self. I've learned so much about how much life there is outside of poker. You know, I put so much of my self-worth in the poker and how good I thought I was and how hard I studied and my work ethic. But I realized after having screaming matches with Matt, what matters is your values. You know, where do you find your sense of confidence? What makes you feel like you're working towards something important, you know? And let's say, for whatever reason, poker just got like vanished off the face of the earth tomorrow. If I was still in that purely poker standpoint, where do I get my sense of self?
Your identity is just gone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But if I have the values of like being kind, right? Being honest, right? These things will always be able to stick with me from the intangibles. And I've always wanted to be someone from that point on to focus more on my intangibles than the tangibles.
That's great.
It's really cool
Having
that
money
Matt's like
doesn't matter, you know.
such a
It's a good guy.
great guy. Do you think that if like his challenge with Airball had gone more the way that yours with Perkins went, how do you think he would have handled that?
I think he would have been okay with the results. At the same time, it's a tough thing to swallow because we know, I mean, we can't know, but we can highly assume that the way that the public perception would change a lot in such a small, you can't value the sample, you know?
Yeah.
They played 9 sessions or maybe 8 where, let's just say, Nick ran really well. Let's just say, for all intents and purposes, Nick got aces versus kings 10 times and challenge over. Let's just play that game.
A royal flush over a straight flush.
Which may or may not have happened.
Yeah.
Like, let's say this stuff did happen. And then the public persona is, of course he sucks. Of course this is that.
Yeah.
And of course, like, I'm the GOAT. Like,
There was way more for Matt to lose from losing than to gain from winning.
Right. Like, the reason why would be, call it money, right? Matt literally said, I'm doing this for money. Like, I'm doing this not because I want to give this guy a platform, not because I think that I believe in anything he says. He wants to play me for many dollars, and I am going to collect those dollars, right? But from the public social media rep standpoint, if he did lose, it's like, oh, I don't even play this game. I'm a wreck that just started playing heads up, and I beat this long-standing pro, where people don't care how much you studied heads up, you know? So it probably could have gone pretty bad for him, especially like mentally, not even from the public perception, but from the public representation of him, in the sense of everyone keeps making jokes about how bad he is at poker.
Yeah.
This is another like bullet point.
Almost like a new branding, like a character assassination.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that was what could have happened if things, I guess, went awry, right? Call it like Matt not having a bracelet, but having like such big tournament successes. People are like, oh, he's played for so long. Like, where's his win, right? Where's the win?
Right.
He can't win, kind of
Why do
thing.
people care so much?
Because people have
silly.
they don't have other. They're busy seeing others fail than succeeding
Yeah,
themselves. You
that's
know?
really what it comes
Because
down to.
they can't even try.
you can't
There-
even try.
There's a
can't
very
even
interesting thing
Critics
to me.
don't play.
Like, I've never met a successful person that like actively hates on the like success of others.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
know what I mean?
Yeah, like a truly successful person that's like,
Yeah.
got a well-rounded.
Like everyone that's helped me out in like my career as well as just like my understanding of things I've never had a conversation with someone says, oh, like this guy is X. Or,
Yeah.
like, derogatory towards, you know? When we talk about other people in the industry that are like call it good at poker, it's never like, oh, this person sucks. It's this person's also highly skilled and extremely good at certain things. Right? What do they do right? Not what do they do wrong.
Right.
But so much of like the vocal minority, I guess, because most people don't have like poker Twitter as a whole. It's always, oh, this person sucks. This is that. It's an ego boost.
Right, and it also
It's like bullying.
They get people get more views from that because everybody like wants to know the gossip. We are a tribal species where people just tend to gather around whatever people are gossiping about, so they know that it gets more eyeballs clicking on them. They kind of live off the clout of shaming others.
Yeah, and like, don't get me wrong, engagement, like seeking and all that stuff is definitely a strategy for social media and all of these things. And we, as a society, have allowed that to happen. Like, it was pretty funny when we talked about the Nick Matt stuff, and you said, "Oh, this is like poker's first beef." You know, you guys are finally getting it from like the content perspective, because there was no
first beef.
It was like the stuff that actually got some engagement on like a public.
Your guys' the beef, because I was like, yeah, we didn't think you guys were really in drama, but then all of a sudden you were in the center of the drama.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think all of that stuff has helped me look at things from a bigger perspective when you zoom out versus just looking at it for what it looks like to be on the surface.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
What are some of your long-term goals in poker?
God, that was my next question. Good
Stole
job.
it.
You guys
Stole
are
it.
telepathy.
Stole it.
There's telepathy
No
going
place
on.
I'd rather be.
No place
I'm
I'd
no
rather be.
place I'd rather be,
I'm not
baby.
invited in the telepathy session, but
Tell us your
okay.
goals when you're all old and in your 30s.
Goals and wow, long time from now. I don't necessarily
Long
know
time
if I have goals in the sense of like physical attributes. Call it a bracelet. Call it a WPT championship. Right. Call it money. I guess.
Yeah, like
Like
I love the idea of just putting money in
tangible,
quotes.
yeah, like
tangible.
I don't want to have my goal being like, oh, I need to make X amount of money or I'm gonna feel like a failure. Right? My goal is, okay, am I waking up every day doing the things that lead towards a better me? And not just in poker, right? Just in life as a whole. How do I get better at living, right?
Yeah.
How do I become a better version of myself? Because it does kind of work in every aspect of life. You know, the more I study poker, the more I play spots and think deeper, the better I'll get. And the better you get, theoretically, the higher your ROI is, and the more you're likely to win. You know, I can't control whether or not I win a tournament. I can control whether I play a tournament, and that counts as a win to me. Like when you show up, you try your best, and you don't just go there because you need to. Like you go there because you want to.
Do you have any like goals outside of poker that's like, I've always wanted to?
Drive.
That's where I was going.
Yeah, I've had a mental, like everyone has mental blocks in different spots.
Yeah.
You know, mine has just definitely been driving. For me,
You have a Tesla.
I do.
Just sitting there.
I do.
Chilling.
Yep. I bought Daniel's car. I thought that would be an impetus to get me to start learning and doing all the steps taken to drive.
Yeah. I can
But
see how that logic would check out.
Yeah. I mean, logically, it's like, okay, if you have a car, you would drive it.
Yeah.
But when you really think about it, it's just like the mental aspect where like the mind is so good at protecting you from things that you fear. And my experience in driving is very, very little, right? I've driven a car like 3 times, maybe twice.
So would you say it's like the unknown that you fear the most, or is it
Like the adulting of, I need car insurance, I have a new monthly bill, I need to put gas, or not with a Tesla, but I need to remember to charge it every night. I need to, you know, if there's a scrap, what if I get in an accident and I have to
registration
go
every
through
year,
all that? Yeah.
driver's license,
I
Like
think
being a car is a lot.
Yeah, the car is a lot.
Being a car.
Being a car.
or is it the actual
grooming.
physically driving it?
I think the physical act is not something that scares me because I know that, like, call it brain works, like extremities work, but more so from the sense of the mental aspect of control. Like, it's okay for me to get in cars with other people because somewhere in the back of my mind, if something happened, I wasn't the one in control.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I realize this about myself. For whatever reason, I don't want to be in a spot where I have caused a problem.
You limit yourself of like in the regard of like causing problems to others.
Yeah.
Like with your brother.
Correct.
Okay, so like you see driving as like if I happen to hit somebody or God forbid something happens like a fender bender, and I was the one behind the wheel, it would make you feel really awful. It would like hurt your.
Yeah, it would hurt me in the sense of inconveniencing somebody else, because call it the consequence of the action is never the problem. But in some cases, if the consequence of the action was like a life-altering issue, that would eat at me for the rest of my like conscious life.
Definitely. I mean, it would for me too. I think that's a normal thing to feel after you've altered someone else's life. But I guess I never had that fear before driving. It was just like, hell yeah, I'm gonna get my license. I'm gonna be able to drive my friends around. Like, I'm gonna give people rides, because there's a lot of positive. I feel like I was more looking at the like, what can I do for others? Well, we are always stuck. Like, we didn't have Uber when I was growing up, so we had to.
I wonder what I would do without Uber. Honestly.
Yeah, we didn't. We had taxis, but like it was super
Call, they'd
expensive.
have to come and get you.
Yeah, and I didn't even know you'd have to like look in the white pages for the number or whatever. Yeah.
Remember? Did you ever like call information like you could call
411
and like talk to an operator? That's what happened before internet phones.
I only know that because like
You would call movie phone for movie times, and it'd be like, "Hello, this is movie phone playing at Cinemark Tinseltown."
I was gonna say I would call 411 to hook me into movie phone.
Oh man, I would hear ads,
couldn't be bothered to memorize the movie phone number.
411 was everything. I was like, "Hey, what's the number for movie phone? Hey, what time is it?"
Have you ever heard the
phone
slang like, "What's the
encyclopedia.
411?" When like people want the info, the download. That's where that comes from.
That makes sense.
You actually used to dial 411.
Yep. Yeah. So I mean, I guess it's so easy to see things from negatives or positives based off of the control aspect, because for me, while these things are positive and stuff that I would love to do for people, the negative would always eat at me of, if something were to happen, now because you have made somebody's life an inconvenience. Right? And
Would you not feel that same guilt if you were a passenger in an Uber and the Uber driver altered somebody else's life to take you where you were going?
I wouldn't, because like in my brain, logically, I was not the person driving the car. Does that make sense?
Okay, I got a question and an analogy.
Go on.
Let's say you take all of your opponent's chips at a table, right? But that guy had a gambling problem, and now he can't pay his mortgage, and now his wife's divorcing him, and you did that.
I didn't cause that, because he has his own internal issues, which sucks. Obviously, like, welcome to gambling, but it's the same kind of thing in my brain, where it's like, if people do have issues and like help this, that, whatever, his intent is still to try to win. Right? On a poker table, it's like, I don't really know other people's issues. I don't really not care, but like in this arena, that is outside of the rules of the game. Right? The rules of the game is you try to do what you think is best in order to win.
Right.
And that's how I see it. Right? That's how I compartmentalize these little boxes.
Okay.
But when it comes to driving, I'm sure there's part of it where it's like, this is kind of the last step for me from like an independent standpoint, where it's kind of safe. It's safe to be like at the mercy of somebody else. Because then if something goes wrong, you have that crutch. But in reality, that crutch needs to disappear in order for me to like grow up. You know?
That's so interesting to me, because as a poker player, like I would think that you train so hard on basically decision making constantly, constant decision making, constant risk analysis constantly. With driving, for me, I hate when other people drive, because if something happens, then I could have prevented it by being in control. Like, I trust my decision making and I trust my judgment, but I don't know, maybe that person's like having an off day, maybe they're sleepy, maybe they're tired or whatever, and then they might jeopardize something, and so then I feel more guilt about that I could have been in charge. I could have been in charge of the wheel,
right,
making those decisions.
Yeah, I think that. I'm sure it's just like anything, when I first started going to the gym, I felt extremely uncomfortable, and it was just not part of my day-to-day life.
Yeah.
But now it's one of those things that I know I can't live without. And I'm sure driving in that sense is very, very similar.
Yeah.
And in my brain, there's just a glorified idea of like, if accidents happen, like what's the worst that could happen? When I was young, it was so small. It was very, very small. My mom was turning out of our development to go and got hit, but it wasn't a big accident at all. It was very, very small.
Just a typical little fender bender.
Yeah, and I was like 6 or 7 at the time, And I don't want to say that that's like the limiting reason as like why I still have like this internal-ish fear, because I have put in like my hands behind a wheel and I've driven a car and nothing bad has happened. But it's just, I think, a lack of experience, and it's so easy to put things off until you feel ready, but I'm never going to feel ready, you know? You're never going to have that perfect time to start a new thing.
Yeah.
It's not just about driving, right? It's about everything.
It's just so interesting to me because, like,
I know.
I didn't know anybody who, like, wasn't so, like,
everybody
pumped
wanted to drive.
Yeah.
I think part of my mind, too, I know how big of a responsibility it is.
Yeah.
You know, like, this is a heavy vehicle moving very fast.
No, your self-awareness is really, really high. Like, I mean, you're the way you're able to handle the Perkins situation, where you like take accountability and like just realize big picture on a lot of this stuff, is that something that I think takes people a little bit longer to figure out usually. So usually people just see the excitement factor immediately, like, oh my God, I'm going to be able to drive my own self somewhere and like not have to depend on others. Like you don't think about it as a responsibility until something happens and you're like, oh shit, this is a lot bigger of a thing than I.
Yeah, exactly. And I think for me, the way that I just see life in general, more so now, this wasn't like a constant thing in my own brain, but I genuinely try to understand the life of somebody else before a decision or an action being made. Like a good example, like I was walking with a friend back to Paris after a dinner break. Some guy was smoking in the casino, and like smoke blew back from where he was and like hit both of us. And like the person I was next to was like, oh, like it's really gross. Like, why would he do that? And I genuinely just said to him, like, purely, I don't even think he acknowledged that we existed.
Yeah.
Not in a bad way.
Yeah.
Right? Everyone's just in their own little worlds, having their own little lives, which is completely reasonable, without thinking about the existence of others.
Yeah, how your actions
impact others. So for me, there's always this there's always that impact to me of how do I impact others in a positive way, and how do I try to not look at the negativity of others in a negative way. 'Cause it's so easy to think when someone's negative, oh, these are negative people. But if you put yourself in their shoes, maybe you might be similar. Like, what's going on in their lives to have this motive to do this?
It's very true. Like, you know, people tend to also recognize in others the things they hate in themselves.
Yeah.
So they project, like, you know, why didn't that guy look at us or whatever? Like, why didn't that guy notice that we were right behind him? And they probably do the same thing.
And and we all have our flaws and our faults in different ways. So like, I just try to be much more aware of how my actions can impact others in a positive way, versus thinking about the negativity that could affect my like little world, you know?
Okay, well, that's great.
Yeah, and that's part of the big reason why I put some stuff off for so long, is because like it's safe to not have to do it in my mind. But I know my life would be better with it.
Yeah.
Like if I were to snap my fingers and have my license and be able to drive here,
Yeah.
I know this is better for my life.
Definitely.
You know?
Well, stay tuned because we might do a vlog teaching Landon Tice how to drive.
I need it. I need it so
we
bad.
might be doing that.
Can I just be the cones? I'm too tired.
Just be the cones.
Can I just be the cones?
You're just.
If I get hit, I get hit.
right,
I just-
right.
Haley,
Don't hit me.
We actually don't need you to be the cones. There's
I wanna be the cones.
there's paint on the road.
That's fine. You can just hit me.
There's actually things
Just
called
get in the car,
cones.
Caitlin.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
get in the
I
car.
want to be the cone.
Get back in the car.
Yeah. Man, it's probably part of it too, right? It's because now like I have to inconvenience a friend to help teach me how to drive, even though they want to. You know, it's like now you're putting someone else
Yeah.
in like a little bit of risky situations when it comes to like some people. It's crazy.
Well,
Like,
then
I'll-
hire a professional
Man.
driver, okay, like a
Because, like-
Jason Statham type. That's like, all right, tonight we're gonna.
Because like I'll just have friends. Like one of the first times I started driving, a friend was like, "Okay, now you're gonna go keep me in this little parking lot," and then she said, "Okay, now drive home." And I was like, "What? Excuse me?" And she's like, "No, like drive home. Like you'll be fine. Like stay in this lane. Like go really slow." And
That's a big jump.
it was a very big jump, but it was not that far away. It was like a 5-minute thing. But I was like, "Okay." Like she's like, "No, I trust you. Just do it."
I remember left-hand turns being really hard.
I only had right-hand turns.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was like relatively easy, but something I would have found very difficult. I ended up doing it. I'm like, oh, this is someone that tried to push me out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
And I need more of that
I see.
in my life, in other areas too,
Yeah.
that makes me feel like I'm getting somewhere. Because
Yeah.
It's so easy to stay in your little boxes.
You like that type of coaching that's like the tough love, like get out there, do it,
Yeah, I do.
Stop being a little bitch. I said it.
You said it. I said it. No one's gonna judge me. Yeah, no, for sure. And I think it's having more of like that introspective understanding and realizing that it's not the end of the world would be helpful in a lot of small areas, because I'm interesting. Like, I'm grown up in a lot of ways, but I'm very stunted in others.
Yeah, I could see that. But I think that you have a beautiful like look on life, like where it's not that serious. It's not that serious, bro. And speaking of not serious, we have some questions for you.
A
that
game
I
we like to call Unserious Questions. All right, Landon, I'm going to ask you a series of questions. Some of these have right and wrong answers. They are trivia. Some of these are would you rather. Some of these are personal opinion. And we don't really care what you say. We just want you to go as fast as possible.
Or I'll
and
punch you.
She will hurt you so
I
bad.
will pour coffee in your face.
You ready?
No. Wrong answer.
That was fast, but it
was fast. I don't really know how to proceed from here.
I thought you just
Put
gonna.
some time on the clock. Let's
All right.
go.
Where's the clock?
All
It's
right.
up there.
Name a celebrity you commit a crime for.
Go. Go.
Oh my God. Ariana Grande.
All right. At your current height, would you rather be 300 pounds or 95 pounds?
300 pounds.
If you could get rid of your freckles, would you?
No.
What's something a woman could do on a first date that would make you never call her again?
Be mean.
To who?
Anyone.
You or the okay. Would you rather meet you? Would you rather meet the true love of your life tomorrow or win $1 million tomorrow?
True life tomorrow. True love of my life tomorrow.
All right. What is the top-selling album of all time, all genres?
No idea. I would say Michael Jackson or something.
It is Thriller by
Wow,
Michael Jackson.
Good
Is it really?
job.
Oh, let's go.
Hell
Wait,
yeah.
are you lying to me? Or you got?
No, that's correct. Do you think
There are right and wrong answers.
do you think you're an inherently likable person?
No.
Aw. Save one, kill two.
That was wrong.
Yeah, that was incorrect. Definitely incorrect. Save one, kill two. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok.
Save one. Twitter.
All right. Fuck, marry, kill. Berkey, Lamanna, Conrad.
Kill Conrad. Mary Berkey, fuck Brian. I love you, tortoise.
What's your
Slow fucking. All right.
What's your biggest fear?
My biggest fear is not living the life I should be.
All right. Hash browns or country potatoes?
Hash browns.
What movie did Emma Stone win Best Actress Oscar for?
Mamma mia. I don't know.
It's not
Not
Mamma
Mamma
Mia.
Mia.
Incorrect.
I don't know.
Is that your official guess?
Sure.
All right.
I don't know. What
the
was
correct
it?
answer is La La Land. What's your order from Starbucks?
I don't drink Starbucks. I would get a vanilla bean coffee when I was younger. Like vanilla bean frap
The Frappuccino,
Yeah.
with or without whipped cream?
with
Okay, cute.
lump of strawberry.
Blondes or brunettes?
Brunette.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Describe a situation.
Not because they're here.
Describe a situation in which you would fold ace-5 suited pre-flop.
None.
That's what I thought.
Correct.
These have been unserious
Unserious
questions.
I folded ace-5 before. It feels really bad. I didn't want to do it. I regretted it. I regretted it immediately.
Did you lose?
I don't know. I folded, so I
Oh,
guess.
so you lost.
Yeah. I didn't
That's
win.
why
The
you
chips didn't go
lost.
my way. Yeah.
Can't win when you fold.
Terrible.
It's true.
I folded ace-3 suited and I would have won. The other day I would have tripled up. He 3-bet me and I folded and the other guy jammed and then it came all clubs and
sounds
I
like a
had
te-
ace-3 of clubs. It just happened last night. I'm
But
still
that's correct.
sore.
It's correct. It's
It's-
correct.
It
It
was
is correct.
but it hurt.
I
I
can't
needed
bel-
it. I needed the triple up.
I can't believe I got the Thriller question right.
Yeah.
It
That
just
was,
seemed-
that
it-
was impressive.
It just seemed like the right answer.
yeah.
It spoke to me.
Do you think that like do you believe in poker ESP?
In what sense? Like deck reads?
Like the longer that you are in like have been playing poker and are like focused and are like, you know, doing a routine like you are where you're moving your body and you're being centered and mindful, that you tend to just have poker ESP?
I think that it's easier. I don't know if it's necessarily true, but I know that when it comes to having other things in life besides poker, you can find wins elsewhere, right? Like if you want to play poker and like, let's say you bust a tournament and you see it as like, oh man, I lost in this tournament, but you went to the gym and you ate clean and you did things that you wanted to, like that's a win.
Yeah.
Right? So it makes it easier to go back and play poker, because if you only played poker that day, you woke up, like call it did nothing and then played poker and lost. It's like, oh, what did I do today? I played a poker tournament and I busted.
Yeah.
But if you had other stuff going on and like you had those little wins, it feels like it's reassuring. to the big picture.
Yeah.
People forget you lose a lot in tournaments. Like, you're allowed to lose.
No, you're not.
It doesn't make you a loser.
It's not okay, and you shouldn't have lost yesterday.
No.
Why did you do that?
All these new
fucking
students.
punted.
So
I fucking
stupid.
punted. 30
I-
minutes before
I
the
knew I
back, and
shouldn't have
did
called
this,
it.
and
I
it's
just
just
bluffed it off.
He ever did it
I
again.
bluffed
Like,
it
why
off.
would I?
I was
I'm
supposed to
not- he
bluff
doesn't have any bluffs
I mean,
there.
I
He
need
went
a
bet
balanced
bet. He went
range,
bet
right? I
bet.
need a balanced range.
Yeah. I've gone through this phase many times. That's what happens when you put your self-worth in poker. It hurts.
Yeah, it's all
Not,
in there.
it's a
all in
negative
there.
feedback loop.
I went all in on poker.
All in on poker.
Self-worth.
All out
That's
on, all
why
out on
I
life.
put self-worth into all my successful relationships.
Boo.
Anyway, thanks for being here on Aceholes today. I hope you feel really good about yourself. We certainly do. Landon, where can they find you? Are you promoting anything? Is there anything you want people to see, the people to know about, the people to watch?
If the people want to watch or follow, Tice Landon on Instagram, Landon Tice on Twitter, on the OnlyFriends podcast Monday to Friday, and I do coaching stuff for Selfy.io.
All right.
All
All
right.
the info in the description. Check it out.
In the description.
In the descript. If you're listening on audio, we may or may not have another video for you to watch on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/aceholespod. Check it out. You have to put the @ in there, or else you'll be directed to like a Nazi pickleball channel. So like make sure it says @aceholespod.
YouTube these days.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
tough.
but-
Tough to get in the algorithm.
Yeah. If not, we will see you on the video. Bye-bye.
Aceholes with Nikki and Caitlin.